All right. So today we're going to be talking about a really cool concept that kind of changed the way I see things, right? The way I look at potential opportunities in my business, in my clients' businesses, and whether or not we should actually pursue them. And the idea is called return on effort. I know most people are familiar with the ideal of return on investment, right? I put $1 in, I want $2 back out, essentially. And if you're in business, return on investment is kind of, the name of the game. That's what you want, right? You want to put all this time, energy, and effort. You want to make sure it comes back in the form of dollars. But, you know, investing your time, your energy, your effort, your money, right? Also needs a return on all that effort besides money, right? And a different way to think about it is, what's the margin? Okay, what is it worth making $1 million if it's gonna cost you, $999,000 to make it, right? Is it worth making $1 million if you're not gonna have a life for the next 12 months? Right now, depending on who you are and what philosophy you subscribe to, sure, right, hustle hard, right? That might be the mentality that you're kind of going into, and just to become, a two comma type of personality, right? You might do that. But this ideal of return on effort is more so kind of, what's the biggest impact you can have on your business that isn't going to take the most out of your time, your energy, and your money. And again, this concept isn't new. I'm not the one creating it. In fact, I learned it from a gentleman by the name of Cole, who I consider to be one of the best internet marketers at the moment. And his idea of return on effort is essentially something that kind of made me reevaluate again how I approach different opportunities. And so, what you want to think about when it comes to your return on effort is, again, is it going to be worth all that effort to only add X amount to your business at the end of the year? Right? Like, let's go ahead and think about, putting an in-person conference, right? In-person conferences are fun. You get a bunch of people to come out, it's a fun party. You can get like motivational speakers. Everyone has a good time. It's a nice way to get people involved and into your business. However, when it comes to setting up a conference, right? You have people you got to pay, catering, hotels, location, pay speakers, lighting, venues, etc., etc., etc. And sure, you might make $1 million out of your conference, but how much time, energy, and effort did it cost you to only add maybe $100,000 to your bottom line? Could you have spent that time, energy, and money elsewhere to produce the same result, but with less of that time, energy, and effort spent into it? Or could you have spent that time, money, and energy into something else that provided even a higher return, right? So if we're looking at opportunities, right? And we're looking at everything we could potentially do: webinars, sales funnels, in-person conferences, group coaching, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which out of all of those potential opportunities is going to give you the biggest bang for your time, your money, your effort, right? What's the return on effort going to be? Okay. And sure, to a certain extent, this concept is kind of, woo-woo, because there aren't any real tangibles unless you start to track your time, right? Tracking your time is very important, because then you can put a monetary value on what your time is being spent on. Okay. For example, if you know that, it takes you 6 hours to put a webinar together, okay, is 6 hours of your time worth potentially making a webinar that is evergreen, that's going to potentially bring in, $100,000 down the road, right? Maybe, maybe not. It's up to you to make that decision. But the return on effort is that idea that, what, I don't want all the bells and whistles. Is having a social media calendar even worth it, right? Like, again, that's kind of why I'm also moving away social media and posting and just going after the stuff that actually like matters. And the reason for that is because, again, it's your return on effort. How much time do you spend looking at keywords, looking at trends, creating content calendars, and finding organizers and placing all that content and then scheduling out, right? What is that return on effort? Can you track every single post back to your business and decide whether or not it provided any revenue for you, right? In some cases, yes, it absolutely makes sense to do that. But in most cases that I've seen with the clients that I work with, absolutely not, right? They're better off spending their time working on creating a better offer, working on their messaging, generating a better sales funnel that's going to produce sales automatically. It's your return on effort, because it's not just about the money, but it's also about the freedom, right? That's what kind of everyone's into it, right? We all want a business so we can have a freedom, so we can live life on our terms the way we want to live life, right? We want to be able to go at the drop of a hat to wherever we like to please. You can't do that if you have a business that's essentially eating you alive. You can't do that if you're working on projects that are taking up all of your time. And sure, you can hire other people and to help you out when ease the spread, but then again, right, it's going to eat up into your profits, right? So another way to think about return on effort is margin, right? So many times online I see, oh, I just ran my Facebook ad and I just made $10,000, but they don't indicate the margin. They don't indicate the return on your investment. How much did you spend? Oh, I spent $9,000. Okay, so you only made $1,000, right? Now your post isn't all that great, right? And that kind of idea, that mentality is out there. It's everywhere to see. But the more important, the people that know what they're doing always post the margin. They show you, here's what I put in, here's what I got out, here's the return. Okay, so your return on effort essentially is another way to look at your margin, right? Is what you're doing producing optimized results? Okay, and that's really kind of what we want to look at when we look at other opportunities. Was what in front of me going to provide me a greater margin of success than something else, right? Is a webinar going to provide me a greater margin of success than an in-person conference, or vice versa, right? You might find out that putting on a conference with 70 speakers or something like that might be well worth the time, the money, the effort. Okay. But again, it's a different way to look at your business and to look at different opportunities. What is your return on effort? So within your business today, take a step back and look at everything that is moving around, right? Take a look, take inventory, and determine, is it worth the effort that you're putting into it? Okay. Is it worth you writing a blog every single day if after 30 days you have no revenue to your business? What's the return on your effort? Is it worth having a social media calendar? Is it worth having Facebook ads run for you? Is it worth having this sales funnel for you? Ask yourself those questions and then make the right decisions, so that way you can find opportunities that are going to be worth your effort. Okay. If you're a referral based business, for example, real estate agents, right? Mostly referrals. Okay. And someone comes along and talks about, this amazing new opportunity, right? Well, you really have no idea if it's going to be, worth your effort because it's so foreign. However, if someone comes to you and says, hey, doing X, Y, and Z is going to increase your referrals, that might make more sense, right? The return on effort is going to be greater in those situations. So again, look at your business, analyze the return on effort on the different tasks that you're working on, and determine whether or not it's going to be the right course of action. Now, and many times you're going to have to fight your ego on this because we see what everyone else is doing and we believe we have to imitate it. Okay. But time and time again, at the end of the day, if you're in business, the most important thing for you is to generate a sale. Okay. So priority number one is generate a sale. The next question is, how are you going to generate that sale? And the how is where that return on effort really comes into play, because then you have to determine which opportunity, which method of you to generate that sale is going to be worth your time, your money, and your energy. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. I'll see you in the next one.